Nurburgring, enshrined in motor racing history. There's been a track here since 1927. Although for real connoisseurs, the new Nurburgring is only 2.8 miles round. The Frenchman Laurent Aiello celebrated his 28th birthday with a stunning qualifying performance to claim pole position for the second time,
Good,
3
yes.
rounds.
Yeah, we came here 1.5 months or 2 months ago, and we set up the car for the track, for the qualifying. And here for this weekend, when we came on Friday testing, we start to set up the car with on the race condition, I mean, and to find the right tires for the race, because the race is more important than qualifying. And we were lucky that the car was well set up to do this job.
The surprise package, Marco Werner and Honda, second on the grid.
Wir sind jetzt gut dabei am Nürburgring. Wir haben Gott sei Dank unsere lang erwartete Sperre erhalten.
Well, we've been working hard since the last race. We've got a new part from Pro Drive up there in Banbury in England. It worked very well. It'd be better if we could have had it at Zolder and Hockenheim though. The car's working well.
Ich habe ja mein Auto sehr spät bekommen und bin dafür aber sehr zufrieden, denn aus dem Stehgreif hat ProDrive da ein fantastisches Auto hingestellt.
Peugeot claimed third spot. Jörg van Ommen. BMW so dominant at Zolder, last time out 4th and 5th. This time Winkelhock ahead of Cicotto.
Circuit, you know. All of the drivers, they can get really at the limit, so it's not a big problem if you went off. So there are enough space and gravel and all this. Sorry if I say this, but no, it's not. I don't believe it's a difficult circuit. But it's a difficult circuit to find a good setup. And this is maybe our problem for both of our cars at this weekend.
Due for 2 races around the Nürburgring circuit, a sprint of 11 laps and then a main race of 22 laps. Audi's best chance lies with their current champion, Emanuele Pirro.
This year we're facing all sorts of problems. I mean, we're heavier in the season where really we shouldn't be heavier because we got enough other things to slow us down. In the winter we concentrated all the development into the front-wheel driven car, so we're more or less running last year's car. And well, that's the situation. You don't make a step forward, it's like you make a step backwards. So right now we are, I don't want to say struggling, but of course we're facing a difficult time. But everybody's motivated and slowly we get there. We got a big potential behind our shoulders and we will get there.
Crowd of around 40,000 at Nürburgring for the first of 2 German Super Touring Cup races. The next one, of course, will be the decider probably in October. Certainly hoping for some decent racing because the series so far has been processional behind, first of all, Aiello at Hockenheim and then Cicotto at Zolder. Cold but bright, 2 warm-up laps completed. Starting from the pit lane, Reuter and Modena. But away here, Aiello from pole position. And Werner in the Honda didn't make the best of starts. And he's under threat now from Winkelhock and from Cicotto, and Van Orman coming up round the outside in the Peugeot. Winkelhock slots into second place. Surprised already by the speed of Aiello. Look at the way that he's just broken away from pole. Again, Van Orman coming round the outside, trying desperately to get past Pirro, and Pirro not leaving him any room down the inside. There's Van Orman trapped in there. Collection of Audis coming through, and here's Hager in the second Honda. Well, he's already seen Werner shut out from second place. Masson in the Nissan, just ahead of him, you can see on the left the BMW, and that is Menzel, self-styled Nigel Menzel, with a bit of his rear bumper trailing, so he's already seen a fair amount of the action. But I don't think he's going to see very much more because the stewards certainly won't allow him to trail that around for the rest of this 11-lap race. So way out in front, Aiello already. Winkelhock up into second. And there's Cicotto trying to get the best side of Werner at the moment. And the rest of them are all trailing through. Aiello and Peugeot, they did a lot of testing in France last week and they've improved their power level output. and it seems to have paid off. Now some jousting down in the order, so something for the spectators to get excited about. Masson and Wenzel. And Menzel, you can see how he probably actually got that damage. Masson getting a wee bit too close to him. Here comes Aiello, reels off the first of 11. Winkelhock, then Werner, then Cecotto. We've got Pirot running there, well up the order. It's been a disappointing season, I think, for Pirot. There's a black flag shown for Menzel, and that's because of that trailing bumper. So the young BMW star isn't going to see very much more of the action. He's going to have to come into the pits. A couple of cars running wide there. Somewhat unnecessarily, you might have thought. Honda 2, they've done some extensive testing, and they've had ProDrive as well developing their car for the Touring Car Championship over here, and it's obviously paid off. Werner with that excellent qualifying position, not making the most of it at the moment, being shut out by Winkelhock. There comes Winkelhock, leading the way as far as the rest of the field are concerned, because Aiello's just in a class of his own. Just look at that. Opened up this huge gap already. Using all the power at his disposal, including the extra bits that they suddenly found in France last week. It's very bright, but it's actually quite cold, so conditions not absolutely perfect. Nevertheless, we should be in for a decent race here. Let's hope that it all sparks up, because touring cars getting a fair amount of criticism from people who are not involved in it at the moment, saying that it's overhyped and that really it's just far too professional for its own good, and it can't actually last with the sort of build-up that it gets at the moment. It's not as exciting as it seems. There's Pirot, 3 times a champion in the last 3 seasons, twice in Italy, once here in Germany. Again, a lot of dust being raised, but not too much action, and still Menzel is deciding to go on ahead of Masson. I'm not surprised that Masson doesn't particularly fancy getting too close to him, because that's surely got to drop off at some stage or other. And you can bet that it would just go straight under one of the wheels and puncture the tyre and put Masson out of the race as well. Well, the stewards have told him once, so it's his own fault really if he doesn't come in, because he's just going to be penalised even more for ignoring the black flag. Maybe he's just following the example of his great mentor in Formula One. Stefan Peter trying to make the break from the rest of the pack, but it'll soon be swallowed up by them. The Opels have yet to come through, and of course the Alphas are completely languishing. Well, this is the sort of situation which will please the critics of touring car racing, because all they're seeing now is just a whole load of cars just trailing around this 4.5 kilometre circuit, 2.8 miles, and not a lot of action happening back in the pack. I see Michael Bartels back there, and here's a bit of a tangle. Pirot coming through, and Hager doing his best to try and push him out of it, and that meant that through the chicane went Müller. That could well mean that he's going to get a 30-second penalty as a result of that. There you go, Hager. And that's Pirot, who just cuts him up at the chicane, just make sure there's not enough room for him to sneak through. They'll have long vanished. There's Winkelhock, Werner, Cecotto, Van Olmen. That's sort of Division 2, if you like, at the moment in this race. Winkelhock, who's third in the championship, got 137 points. Ahead of him, Johnny Cecotto, after those 2 wins up at Zolder. And of course, Laurent Aiello, who had those 2 wins at Zolder, at Hockenheim earlier in the championship. But we thought after Zolder that maybe the balance of power just tipped towards BMW. No, it seems after Aiello's practice and qualifying performance here and the early stage of this race, it just seems as though Aiello at Peugeot have actually grabbed it back again. There's Werner, Honda, also suddenly come into the picture. And Norman in the Peugeot is doing well to hang on to the back of this group. There's his teammate out in front. Difference between first and second already up beyond 3 seconds. Here comes Division 3, led by Pirot. Peter is still there. So too is Mansell. Well, I don't know what they have to do to get this lad Mansell off the track, really. I mean, Massey's trying his best. BMW Young Driver of the Year from 1996. Got a tremendous build-up, but I wonder whether you'd really say that the sort of performances that he's turned in so far this season actually qualify him for the sort of publicity that he's getting. 7th and 8th, and 11th and 16th in this championship. Have another look at them coming through that tight right-left section. Mansell grimly determined to finish this race no matter what, despite the best efforts of the stewards. Here comes Winkelhock, Werner in the Honda, and there's Cecotto giving new meaning to the word slipstreaming. Cecotto won twice last time out, and was that smoke from Winkelhock? I think it probably was in second place there. Winkelhock has got a bit of trouble. You can see it when he changes gear. There's a bit of smoke which just issues from the back of the car. I don't think that Winkelhock is going to be in second place for too much longer. As it is, Aiello is skating away with it. He's way, way out in front. And we're at Nurburgring with Eurosport. Welcome back. This is the chasing group. Winkelhock's still going, Werner's still there. So too Cecotto and Van Orman, second, third, fourth and fifth as they come through the chicane. Aiello way ahead in the distance. Fastest lap so far, 1:44.425 by Aiello on lap 2, and that's well inside the previous lap record, that 1:48 set by Hans Stuck in 1995. So Winkelhock, the last couple of laps you haven't seen any sign of the smoke issuing from the rear of the car. Maybe Werner's seen more than we have. There's the difference, Aiello going through. And the long pause until Winkelhock makes it. Werner and Cecotto. Cecotto right on Werner's tail, and the Honda is trying desperately to get past Cecotto. But Werner blocking him every opportunity. Winkelhock hasn't won in this year's championship, and he's certainly not going to do in this 11-lap sprint race either. Best he can do is cling on to second place. points. The third division, led by Piro, the Italian. Formula One experience, of course, with Benetton when he took over from Johnny Herbert. And he's going to have to use all that experience now, because Hager in the second Honda is coming up to challenge hard. Now, has Hager actually got it down to this sweeping right? I think he has. I think he's seen off the Audi. Neatly done. Now, he can repeat the tactic on Piro, or can he? No, Piro, brilliantly done. Dives down the inside. I think we're going to say that Honda really should have blocked them there. And now we've got two callers into the pits. Two at the same time. One of them, obviously, is the black-flagged Menzel. The other one is one of the Audis. We've got Piro there, and we've got Petto. Nissan 23, Roller Dash. The Austrian. 21 going through, Uwe Altzen. Here's Menzel. Now they find out what the matter is, and it's that trailing wheel bumper. They've got to do something with it. They actually carve it off unceremoniously. But that's the end of his race. That's one way of going through the chicane. Manuel Reuter, he's doing well. He actually started from the pit lane, so he's made a bit of ground there, but he could still be out of the points unless he actually picks up a bit of pace and finds the gaps, of course. Werner now second. Winkelhock languishing down there in the pits, having attention to his engine, which means that Cecotto must now be sensing the chance of getting second place. There is Winkelhock. And the end of his sprint race, so no points for him. And presumably this will mean an engine change, which will mean that they'll start work on that straight away and see if they can get him right for the 22-lap race. BMW Team Bugatti are going to have to work very hard indeed. They're going to get Winkelhock in for it. Meanwhile, working very hard indeed. The lead driver, Johnny Cecotto, the championship leader, can see his championship lead slipping away unless he gets past Werner. And to be honest, although he's occasionally shown signs that he might well be ambitious to that extent, he hasn't really pushed Werner into a situation where he might make a mistake. Well, Masson has seen off Menzel. Menzel's actually gone into the pits. Had that rear bumper sawn off. But now he's got the Opel of Bartels in front of him. Nurburgring in the Alfa, followed by Frank Schmickler, another Alfa. Chances are they're down the order. Back with a battle for second place. Loosely termed battle, because we really need Cecotto to do something here. Hager is chasing after his teammate. Werner is holding down second place. Hager at the moment is running out of the top three. And Werner would really like him to start putting some pressure on Cecotto. Meanwhile, Winkelhock can't put any pressure on anybody, apart from his team mechanics, to get that engine changed quickly. Werner goes through. Nice way to celebrate your birthday. There comes the Honda. Now we're back with the Audis being pursued by an Opel and a Nissan. Piro and Peter. dominated everything last year. Yeah, it's a struggle to make an impression. They struggle to break into the top 3. Targeting the Private BMW. Bit of a slide on, leaving tyre tracks through the chicane. They're coming under pressure there. Staying right behind his teammate. They're not allowing Ash the way through. Let's change the order, but not quite the way to do it. Well, Philip better. I think you might struggle there. I think you might have a penalty as a result of that. That's certainly a shortcut. Oh, and they're all over the place now. Bartels coming through in the Opel. Swapping positions. At last we're starting to have a few battles down the order. This is what happened. Better just slipped down the inside of Pirro and just couldn't turn through the chicane. And so Vettel, having taken the shortcut, undoubtedly will be penalised. Maybe 30 seconds for that. Meanwhile, Bartels comes charging through and uses similar tactics there. And moves up a place as a result. He's having his best drive so far this season. Michael Bartels, German from Plattenburg. So the two Nissans, Roland Ash and Sascha Maassen, suddenly find that they've been pushed down the order as a result of those strong arm tactics from Michael Bartels. But good to see, because he's been a bit timid in the early races. Hello. It's just driven so smoothly, and he's driven without any trouble at all. Nobody's attacked him. He broke away at the start, and he's just had no pressure whatsoever. He's going to pick up the points here for winning this 11-lap sprint. Out comes the checkered flag. Comfortable enough for him. Aiello's third victory in 5 races. Werner, best finish of 1997, he claims second, and Cecotto is there in third, but he still loses the championship lead. Now what's happening here? Oh, it's Modena in the Alfa, and what a terrible weekend the Alfas have had. And that's Modena's 11-lap sprint well and truly over as he careers off into the gravel. Meanwhile, this is the chap who did it all from the front. Aiello by almost 6 seconds from Marco Werner in the Honda. Cecotto picking up third place but losing the championship, and Aiello moves back into contention in a really big way.
Yes, it was. I'm sorry to say that, but yes, the car is very nice, good balance for the race. I don't know about the second race, but we've made a different choice on the tires. I hope it will be okay. And I don't know about the Honda. I saw that the Honda will fight very hardly with the BMW. I don't know if the Honda is maybe if the Honda was just behind me at the start of the race, maybe it was able to follow me or not. I don't know, but yes, the car was good. Everything is all right.
Yes, Marco Werner for Honda, his best finish so far of 1997.
Very
happy, obviously, had to drive very hard, so it's like a small victory, and he held off Cecotto.
Aber ich habe es durchgestanden, Auto war okay, war fantastisch und Glück gehabt, denke ich mal. Jetzt müssen wir den zweiten Schritt machen, das heißt das Rennen.
So, Peugeot leading the way, good victory, but plenty of discussion down there in the BMW Bugatti team.
It's a technical problem with Joe, unfortunately for us. We were going well, but I was very surprised of the speed of the Peugeot. From a steady start, from the first corner, to the end of it, he gets 2.5 seconds off everybody else. This is, I cannot believe this. At the same time, we do our very best. The team is working together to change the engine to Joe. It's almost an impossible task, but we're trying very hard.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if they manage it. Aiello first in the sprint, Werner for Honda second, and Cecotto third for BMW as Winkelhock comes out with a new engine.